Today is March 19th, 2008. The person being interviewed is Kennard Manchester. What's your birthday?
November 20th, 1919.
We have Sarah Sable, and John Fleener, and myself, Tommy Frederick, at the interview. And we are working with EA and the Gail Borden Library. Okay. Can you please tell me what war you served in and what branch you were in?
World War II in the Adjutant General's Department of the 90th Infantry Division.
Okay, can you please tell me your rank?
Well, a technician, third grade, was actually 3 stripes and 1 rocker and a T.
Okay, thank you. Where did you serve?
All
the way
in
around.
Camp Barkley, Texas to begin with, then out to Camp Granite Mountain in California, and then to Fort Dix, New Jersey briefly, before I went to Europe and went to Birmingham, England, and waited there until we went down to the Channel and across into Normandy.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Drafted.
Okay. Where were you living at the time?
I was in college.
Where did you join?
Where?
Yes.
Well, in Ames, Iowa. That was where we were gathered together, and then went directly from there to Camp Barkley, Texas.
Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
It was picked for me.
Okay.
You had no choice.
Oh, okay. Do you recall your first days in service?
Hurry up and wait as an Army signal. You didn't really do anything but sit around the first days. And then we had, I went into the 90th Division, and people ask, oh, where'd you do your basic training? Well, you go into a division, you don't do basic training. You start and build up. First you learned how to behave yourself in a squad, and then a platoon, and then a company, and then a battalion, and then a regiment, and then as a whole division. Well, I went through all of that in a rifle company, except as a whole division.
So you did not go through boot camp?
Right, they didn't have any boot camp.
Okay.
No.
Where exactly did you go in the war?
Well, from Camp Barkley, Texas, we were there a year and a half. Then went out to Camp Granite Mountain, California, which really wasn't a camp at all. They pointed out Granite Mountain. We said, well, where is the camp? And they said, right there, you make it yourself. So it was really a tent city, is what I wanted to.
Do you remember arriving and what it was like?
What
it was like when you arrived?
When I first...
Yes.
Oh, we just sat around and waited. Typical Army.
So...
The Army slogan was hurry up and wait.
What was your assignment there, waiting?
To
Just
begin with?
Yes.
I made PFC right off the bat. I was only a private for 3 weeks. I became PFC, and I was assistant squad leader. And I spent 6 months down there just as a PFC. And then I went up to division headquarters and part of the Adjutant General Division. Adjutant General would be the secretary of the division. And I worked my way up to a tech sergeant.
Did you see any combat?
Depends on what you call combat. No actual fighting, no, not actually that, no.
Okay.
because the agent general was in the so-called background for echelon.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
You mean the fun part? One of my most memorable experiences is when we were in Germany, we came upon a warehouse. And all that was in that warehouse was pictures of Hitler. And there was a hill off to the side. Oh, it was about 500 yards away probably. And we all had a carbine, but we hadn't fired it or anything like that. So I had the right idea, well, why don't we limber up the rifle? So we put pictures of Hitler on the side of the hill and had target practice. And I won. I shot Hitler's eyes out at 500 yards.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Oh, European theater things, presidential citations. We had 5 division citations, presidential citations, and I had 2 individual ones.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Wrote.
What?
Wrote letters.
Okay. What was the food like?
Some days good, some days terrible. Acceptable.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Yes and no.
Can you explain?
Well, you had enough to keep you alive, and the stuff that would be fun to have, you did a short supply. Well, main emphasis was on the troops up in the front line, which it should have been. Mm-hmm. And we got what was left over.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
No. No, I was the head of the department, so the pressure was on the higher-ups, and I didn't put any pressure on the guys that were under me.
Was there something special you did for good luck?
No, not superstitious.
How did people entertain themselves?
I read. There wasn't anything to do but entertain yourself.
Were there entertainers?
Well, we went to, when we were in Fort Dix, New Jersey, we would go into New York and go to shows and things like that. Well, when you're out in the desert in California or the semi-desert in Texas, there wasn't anything to do but go to the movies. There were lots of movies. They had theaters right on the camp.
What did you do when you left the service?
Oh, went back to college.
Where did you travel while in the service?
Well, from Texas, we went to California. From California, then we went to New Jersey. And from New Jersey to Birmingham, England. And from Birmingham, England, down to Weymouth. What was really disgusting in some ways, they had the whole English Channel lined with gas, with the idea if the Germans tried to invade their barbecue. And so from Bournemouth, which was right down, Bournemouth was the boneyard of England. It was where all the old people went to die, and it was lined with gobs of hotels, and we had 3 hotels that we took over for the division. And from there I went to Cardiff, Wales, and got on board a ship, and that took me to Normandy.
Do you recall any other particularly humorous or unusual events? Aside from what you said earlier?
Unusual events, probably. We took over a cathedral and right up in the corner of Luxembourg and Germany. But humorous things, we were assigned a building that had been bombed. And the colonel decided, we were up on the 4th floor, the colonel decided that he was going to go through one door, and he opened the door, almost stepped out. The building was nothing more on the outside. So he got a hold of the doorknob, and that was the only thing that was holding the buzzard, was a doorknob. And a couple of guys came to his rescue and pulled him up. Some said they should have dropped him, but they didn't. I wasn't one of the ones that thought they should have dropped him. I got along fine with him.
Were there any pranks that you or others would pull?
We were all business,
Okay.
pretty much.
What did you think of officers or fellow soldiers?
I got along fine with the officers. I got along pretty good with the fellow soldiers. I had no trouble with any of them.
Good. Did you keep a personal diary?
No, too busy.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah, pretty well.
Where were you?
Well, it didn't actually end until I got home. But you felt like it ended when you left. I went from Le Havre, France to, we were supposed to have gone to New York. But we went home on the USS West Point, which is a Navy ship. But the commander of the doggone ship was Navy Day coming up, and he wanted to be at his home base, which was Newport News, Virginia. So we went there when my orders said we were supposed to go to New York. We got hooked, and we were very unhappy about that. So in place of going to Fort Sheridan, Illinois, to be discharged, I went to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, which is outside Indianapolis.
Did you make any close friendships while in the service?
Oh, yeah.
Do you continue any of those relationships?
Well, my two best friends are dead. But I haven't heard from the third one for quite a while. I better write him, I guess.
Did you join a veterans organization?
No. I may have died that.
What was your career after the war?
Teacher.
Okay. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Yes. Most wars can be prevented, I strongly feel.
So, do you attend any reunions?
One.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, they took 4 years of my life, which you can't get back. But other than that, well, all of your experiences have something to do with decisions you make later on. I don't think it influenced my teaching that much, but there were times when I was teaching something when I would recall something that happened in service. And you always got questions. And when I shut off right off the bat, they'd say, "You kill any Germans?" They'd ask you that, you know. Well, I wasn't I had a carbine, but I wasn't in the shooting part of the military.
Is there anything...
The adjutant general was really the secretary of a division.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
I don't think so.
And
Ask him about the landing at Normandy.
what about the landing at Normandy?
I landed the D2, the second day.
Okay.
I was on board the Susan B. Anthony, which was an Army transport boat, and it got they hit a landmine and the ship went down. Unfortunately, I got off it before it went down. The hassle I had mostly there, I was in charge of the records for all the officers in the division attached units. I had 2 suitcases about that long, so wide and so high. I put life preservers on both of those and went overboard. Well, fortunately, the records didn't get wet, and we went in differently than we were supposed to have. And the path in Normandy was cleared for us by the 2nd Ranger Division. And we pretty much bypassed things.
So
the second day, things had calmed down anyway.
So the fighting was relatively over when you had gotten there?
There wasn't any fighting going on at Normandy.
Where you were?
No.
Okay. So, what does freedom mean to you?
That's a hard question. Being able to do what you would like to do with certain restrictions. There always are going to be rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.